Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the scariest Call of Duty campaign. It's gotta be World at War. The only true WW2 campaign. Let's get it. Shout out Zolly for the video.
Call of Duty World at War isn't just a video game, it's an experience.
Really?
The violence is brutally realistic, the atmosphere is bleak, and the story is a gripping retelling of what both war fronts had to
Bro looks a little out of place. Just a little.
This is an unfiltered, gruesome lesson that doesn't shy away from the harsh truths of history. Call of Duty World at War is a horror game, and today, I'm going to show you why. This is...
Really? It is the scariest
World
COD
at War
campaign.
opens with a gut punch. We watch in horror as a fellow soldier is tortured and then executed. The opening sequence is a message to the player. The gloves are off, expect the unexpected, and get ready to not only watch, but actively experience humanity at one of its lowest points.
Also, drastic departure from what we see in Vanguard and WW2, bro. Like, it is insane how good they had it. Like, it makes sense. The closer the game was to the actual event, it would definitely seem like it's more realistic now, you know? Nowadays, people scared of the truth.
With that being said, let's talk about war crimes. World at War does not shy away from highlighting, showcasing, and even slightly exploiting the war crimes of World War II.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and while it doesn't
brutal.
really scratch the surface of the real atrocities committed, it's enough, and I think it rides the fine line of what you should be playing in a video game versus historical accuracy
reality.
really well.
Yeah.
There are some things that just don't need to be playable. And yes, for my history buffs out there, I know the Geneva Conventions were not put into place until 1949 in the aftermath of World War II, but it's still fun to go take a stroll back yonder and see what would be considered a war crime today. And the Hague Conventions were put into place before World War I in the early 1900s, so they had a bit of an outline of what a war crime would be, but it was more of like a code or a guideline, like fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. Something that's really fascinating is that both of our main playable characters open during a war crime. Private Miller is witnessing and almost becomes victim to torture and execution, and Private Petrenko survives a mass execution in a fountain.
It makes a lot of sense because at this point, if you were literally living this would be probably your most prominent memory that you would ever conceive in your whole time of life. And that's why I think like World at War just nailed that, you know?
Both sides of the story begin with a little bit of luck, showing us the truly unforgiving aspects of war and the unfairness of life itself. If Roebuck and his crew were 10 seconds earlier, Private Pyle would have lived. 10 seconds later, and
I mean, literally, this campaign was so iconic, it spawned zombies. Like, this is literally Ultimus Tokyo right here. Like, it's crazy.
Our blood probably would have been sprayed on the wall as well. One random bullet could have cost Private Petrenko his life. But he is spared. Why? I don't know. Well,
plot.
So the story continues. In a real life scenario, I don't know. That's one of the mysteries of life, as they say. In fact, there are so many times throughout the campaign that Petrenko almost dies, and he is saved by Reznov, to the point where Reznov even comments on it himself.
Once again, you cheat death. They flooded their own metro in an effort to kill us.
Reznov is so cold, man. I love him.
They failed. Once more.
It is such a slap in the COD zombie fan base that this man has not appeared in any zombies map since this campaign. Genuinely, it floors me, to be honest.
We cheat death.
You can make it, my friend.
And then the finale.
You always survive.
Dude,
Petrenko really needs to go hit up the Powerball or something.
For real, bro.
This dude is built like Master Chief in his luck. But speaking of Reznov, this dude is war crime hungry.
Look at his
Anytime he can get his hand on a German, they're toast. Even the wounded ones, which are technically protected under the Ordre de Combat. Killing a wounded or yielding soldier violates Article 3 of the Geneva Conventions.
It's all about war.
However, the game makes not committing war crimes kind of a hard thing to do. Sometimes when soldiers are wounded, they'll pull out a pistol and try to get one last shot off. So what are you supposed to do? Take the chance and risk death, or do you...
Bro, hit the revive me. I got the ray gun pose, bro.
...break an international law? I made my choice. Specifically, in Hard Landing, you go inside a bunker and find a mortally wounded Japanese soldier. This dude just has the most severe tummy ache known to man. But just a couple feet away is a pistol, and that man is reaching for it like his life depends on it, because it kind of does. And you can watch him literally struggle and try to get it, but eventually, if you sit there long enough and wait, he will grab it and start shooting you.
Wow.
While yes, he's mortally wounded and is probably gonna die anyways, he's still going for that damn pistol. So how do you decide?
Dude, the attention to detail back in the day is insane. And now they like advertise like fish AI and all this nonsense. Like, dude, this was back in 2008, man.
Cipher on whether or not someone is yielding or not, because a lot of the times they fake it, like at the very end, and we'll get into that, but they fake a lot of yields. That shit's illegal. World at War is eat or be eaten. All dogs may go to heaven, but it's the top dog that lives. I don't know what that means. At the beginning of Their Land, Their Blood, we are given a morality test by Reznov. Multiple wounded soldiers lay on the ground. Reznov gets upset that they haven't been taken out yet, so he gives you the gun to make the decision.
Me?
Me?
I am not hearing gunshots.
There is no point, Sergeant.
Nikolai,
We are
man.
already bleeding to death. Then maybe our friend will help them bleed faster.
Dude,
Do you commit
so
war crimes
cold.
and execute these soldiers on the ground, or do you let them slowly bleed out? These men are clearly suffering, and one bullet to the head could be considered a mercy kill to some, like a racing horse when it breaks its leg.
It was a fucking horse!
But to others, it's immoral and illegal, and Chernov is not a fan of it, actually.
I think that is what characterizes this game so much. Like, in today's world, they would never add a campaign mission like that, especially when they were breaking the lines with the very next game being MW2 with the no Russian mission, right? And like, that's what war was. You're presented with two unsatisfactory decisions that you have to make that are not going to help you. They're just going to make life worse. And that is what I think World at War captures so amazingly. It's such a great point. Bro, so cold, man.
But regardless of Reznov and Chernov and morality, the choice is ultimately up to you. What's so great is that your choices between good and evil change some of the dialogue. So your choices have some weight to them, and it's not just a little gimmick thing. The second choice in this morality system is sparing or killing these soldiers. The first is in Vendetta, when Reznov tells you that the soldiers on the front lines are pretty much screwed.
Hold fire! We are too close to our goal to reveal our position. There is nothing we can do for our comrades.
Dude, and the
Their
music.
sacrifice will not go unavenged.
If you listen to him and you don't draw all the fire, Reznov will recognize their sacrifice as heroes. Draw the fire and try to help and save the soldiers, and Reznov will title you idiot. And then the soldiers will die anyways. And the third and final choice is something you've seen so many times before.
Right.
It's the stairwell subway dudes.
Yeah.
You can shoot them, which is, I think, considered the moral high ground,
mercy
or you
killing.
can burn them alive, which is the immoral low ground.
Yeah.
Both are actually technically war crimes, but one is considerably worse than the other.
Right.
So the culmination of these three choices actually end up in three different dialogue options at the very end, voiced by Chernov. There's a good, a bad, and a neutral option, and they are as follows.
His bravery on the battlefield is beyond question, but he has also shown mercy amidst the brutality of the Red Army. He is indeed a hero.
Well, and that's all just to portray the beauty of your morality in the game. Like, that's really something that isn't really explored. Like, I will say, like, COD World War II after this in 2017 had good music, but like that like weight of the depth of your decisions like really hasn't been explored since like this game, MW2, Black Ops 2 as well, Black Ops 1 even. They Treyarch
I have
critics,
seen
man.
him show mercy,
They knew what they were
but others act with complete brutality. I do not understand him. Perhaps heroes need not question their actions. His merciless brutality defines him only as a savage,
Wow.
just like the rest of the Red Army.
I just love that the choices you make have real consequences with how the characters perceive you. While the choices don't really change the gameplay at all, the reward of following a certain moral code with unique dialogue is really cool.
Yeah.
What makes following the good path so hard is that Reznov is on your shoulder chirping about you to be ruthless to the German soldiers.
Right.
Hunt them down! No mercy was shown to my comrades in Stalingrad. No mercy will be
Dude,
shown.
the guitar from Kevin Sherwood. Oh my gosh.
Which, that's why it's so great that he doesn't
strong.
give the final dialogue at the end. It's Chernov that does.
Yeah.
It brings you back to reality. grounds you a little bit, and reminds you that while war is horrific, it's the choices we make that define our character, and not everyone on both sides are ruthless killers with pure hatred in their hearts. There are men like Reznov everywhere, but the majority of those breathing would like to remain doing so. Walking up on
It's sad that, like, the only title of media I can think recently that really just perpetrates war equals more war is, like, anime. Like, Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan, stuff like that, you know? It's wild that a lot of Western media has kind of went away from this, and it's, like, now even judging, like, if these events even happened, which is, like, dude, like, what has happened to Western
is a regular
society?
thing during World at War, and you see all sides committing mass atrocities on the wounded and imprisoned soldiers.
Right.
The game really does an exceptional job at putting you in these moral dilemmas. Sometimes there is no choice but to watch, but other times you can save a life. But that will always be up to you, which is great. This, along with the environmental storytelling, really help sell the world around you.
Yeah.
Pretty much every level has some sort of story set up for you to uncover.
And honestly, like, it's actually insane for a 2008 game that they were to add all these different vehicles, like planes, tanks, and everything. It's like now it's like you even get COD campaign experiences where you don't, like, get into any of that. You know, it's just like run and gun pretty much the whole time.
Like these guys here, they were probably executed by a firing squad, all lined up and then hopefully instantly dead. Fun fact, this was not considered a war crime. And even more fun fact, this guy on death row was just executed by a firing squad like a month ago in South Carolina.
Wow.
Take that for what you will. Also, once you
South
finally
Carolina.
push into Germany, you're going to start seeing soldiers hanging from trees and power lines. You may think at first that this is the Red Army's doing, and we're just a bloodlusted group of dudes. But if you look closer, you'll see that there's German written on their chest.
Right.
I don't speak German, but I do have the internet, and this translates to...
Right. Wow.
Reznov even comments on it as well. During my in-depth analysis of random shit in this game, I came across this photo or painting or whatever of a German general. Look at him. You cannot tell me that's not Aldo. It's literally his twin. I did a double take times 4 on this one. It's literally Aldo.
Yo, where were you stationed?
Ernst.
That's not even.
told you this.
That's not even a real fucking place.
Fucking Aldo.
Yeah, this is what war means in 2025 to Call of Duty players, bro.
Anyways, war crimes are an extremely ugly truth, and forcing players to not only watch but actively participate in them is pretty crazy.
Brutal.
While the line of morality is very much so blurred and subjective, there is one definitive truth in World at War. The combat is absolutely brutal.
Yeah. You feel like you're in a battlefield.
Explosions rip off limbs, bullets tear into enemies, and bodies crumple semi.
Dude, and World at War was so good with that flesh mechanic that is what literally spawned in the zombies mode. And it's sad because in a lot of modern COD zombies games, you don't get like the flesh animation where like an arm pops off or a leg pops off. It's not as visceral as what it once was in this game. Even Black Ops 1
this is a
continued that.
2000s game after all.
Yeah.
But unlike most COD games, World at War doesn't shy away from showing the aftermath of violence as well. The dismemberment and gore system is so advanced and fleshed out that it's almost sickening at times.
Yeah.
The gibbing system, or the body parts that fly off, are reactive to when you shoot. So if you shoot someone in the leg, you may blow it off and then watch them agonize in pain on the ground. Or if you shoot someone in the arm, they may stand still looking shocked for a little bit before collapsing over. And if you aim for the head, well, sometimes they'll turn into red mist.
Yeah.
Certain weapons like snipers, shotguns, and MGs completely blow off limbs or leave gaping holes in enemies' chests, where the pistols and submachine guns riddle the enemy with bullets rather than blow them into pieces.
Visceral.
And while there are so many weapons to choose from, all having their own positives and negatives, they all mutilate the person on the other side in one way or another. But there is one weapon specifically that causes the most damage, the most suffering, and arguably the most war crimes.
And it's not the ray
my
gun.
friends, the flamethrower.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so fitting that this is like the best weapon in Noct as well. Like just rinsing through everything. Oh my gosh. carnage.
During World War II, flamethrowers were used for cleaning out areas, surprise attacks, and obviously setting things ablaze. Shout out to Germany's scorched earth policy. However, using a flamethrower was incredibly risky due to the weight, limited fuel, short range, and most importantly, the visibility. Most flamethrower operators were easy targets because they had to be out in the open to cause the most damage. In Iwo Jima, the flamethrower units had a 92% all casualty rate during World War II, and the average lifespan of a flamethrower operator was only 10 minutes. While today we consider flamethrowers to be an inhumane way of disposing of someone, they were actually considered a mercy kill during World War II.
Really?
The effects of flamethrowers were grossly miscategorized by first-hand accounts that claimed deaths by flame were quick and painless, which is absolutely insane. As a result, the other effects such as carbon monoxide poisoning, hypoxia, and self-inflicted burns were completely absent from any and all reports. It wasn't until several years later, where the United States ran official tests, that we came to a true understanding of how devastating a flamethrower could really be. Before you even get to touch a flamethrower in World at War, you get to witness the effects of it firsthand. The large, engulfing flame that swallows everything it touches. There is no discrimination to where the flames will spread.
I mean, dude, this is what I mean. It's like the flamethrower is literally like, it's like a gateway to hell for a lot of these like soldiers. It's really terrifying, really scary thought. Imagine eternally suffering like that.
And the way you get your hands on your first flamethrower is when the next one becomes available.
Oh, man.
The flamethrower has unlimited ammo, but with a cooldown time, so you have a good 4 to 5 seconds of constant blast power. The flames come out so fast that using it for about a second completely disorients and blocks your field of vision. All you see are bodies flailing around as they char and scream. It's horrific.
Horrifying.
What's great storytelling with the flamethrower is that after the first mission, you get to pick up a flamethrower and use it. The very next mission, a flamethrower is used on you in the exact same way, by shooting through a building and trying to burn you out. And it's such a great way of showing you the true force and punch a flame.
I also love this secondary title that they give each of the characters. It just dehumanizes them on another level, where it's like Reznov was only good with the submachine gun, right? Like, that is what war was. Dehumanization on the largest scale. And World at War nails that. It is quite unfortunate that you don't really get a lot of these moments later on. And now warfare is kind of like between like robotics and AI even comparatively to humanity. And so it's really evolved from this brutality for sure.
Flamethrower packs. Now you've experienced both sides of it. And it's so much fun to use. I mean, there's a reason it's on
so much fun to use.
Catching things on fire will never not be fun in a game. Or real life. But at a certain
brother, relax.
point, if you're staring down the hot barrel of a flamethrower, you have to react fast and intelligently. When things became desperate, Japanese soldiers would resort to a bonsai charge, which essentially translates to a $sign suicide attack. It's pretty much a last-ditch effort to eliminate their target by sprinting at them and trying to stab them with the end of their bayonet. If you're caught with your pants down, you'll be put into a quick time event where you're either gonna sink or swim. These attacks create a lot of urgency and fear, especially during the trench sections or tight jungle paths.
It gives you that thrill of like anxiety and acceleration. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is real. Every second counts. Every millisecond somebody could be dying right next to me, right?
We'll get more into level design later, but the surprise attacks are frequent and fast.
And it gives them personality too. Like, you know, a lot of times now with COD campaigns, the enemies aren't really that different. It's like, oh, just big enemy, small enemy, you know? Oh, this guy uses this gun, this guy uses the other gun. No, it's like you can even tell each of the nationalities in this game, man.
You'll eventually become kind of numb to it as you progress through, but those first few bonsai charges,
horrifying.
You won't forget. It's like your first beer. Japanese soldiers would rather die trying to kill you than surrender and get captured. What's really tragic is that the Imperial Japanese actually romanticized the idea of a $sign suicide attack. The government was impressed with how samurais were trained to take their own lives when they were humiliated. In turn, they taught soldiers that it was a greater humiliation to surrender than then die. Death was considered a duty for soldiers, while
That's crazy. And even today, I feel like that whole ideology was built into Black Ops 3 Zombies, bro. Like,
war itself was
wild.
some sort of purifying ritual. Fun fact, during the Battle of Iwo Jima, the Japanese general Tadamichi Kuribayashi actually forbade his troops from the Banzai attacks, believing it was a waste of lives, which was probably a good decision.
Yeah.
While the charges are an extremely effective device in a video game, in real life, it led to a lot of death. And to be honest, they are quite easy targets. Not only do they scream as loud as possible when running at you, which alerts you to their direction, but they don't come out shooting. I understand that, yes, it's kind of a last-ditch effort, but for the ones that are hiding in the grasses or around corners, I think there's a better play here, Cotton. What's super interesting is that the level formula is the exact same on both fronts. Every level, Soviet or American, goes from close quarters, tight areas to wide open ones. You'll go through a trench and then come out into an open field, or enter a large street and then make your way through a courtyard. The carnage inflicted to the urban environment of Stalingrad and Berlin are devastating. Homes are crumpled to the ground, buildings are burning, and everything is sacked.
it's interesting because I actually remember talking to Jason Waddell, who actually worked on World at War Zombies and made some of the most iconic maps from World at War, being Derice. And they said that they were interviewing real life vets to actually create the horrifying experience. And it's unbelievable because I even heard that a lot of them got to play test the game and like low-key got PTSD from playing it because it was that surreal and that realistic. And it's really thanks to this game that we have zombies because of how unbelievably earthly and grounded and gritty and just visceral it was. This game is the whole reason zombies exist. So many people forget about that, man. And now, like, zombies is a complete departure from what this game started.
Anything and everything caught in the crossfire of tanks, flamethrowers, or even bullets are completely destroyed. There is so much hatred, so much passion to terminate the Reich from Reznov and the crew that you can't help but watch and sometimes even participate. It's like the soil itself is the enemy, and not even that will be shown mercy. Beautiful farmlands and trees are also victims of the war.
I mean, that's kind of what this whole war was about, was like really just deceiving the player and how it deceived millions in real life, you know?
At the start of Their Land, Their Blood, you walk out of a destroyed house to a great view of farmland and trees. However, Germans are hiding in the crops and Reznov is not having it. Burn them, he says. Burn them all. Game of Thrones style.
Burn them all.
You don't have to participate in this specific instance, but the outcome remains the same. It all goes up in flames.
They get burned,
the jungles of the Pacific are also a really scary place to be. Sometimes you'll be wading through murky water surrounded by limp trees and green foliage.
I also have to say, like, the OG, like, 2008, like, old horror game aesthetic is so prevalent in this game. And I think as graphics advance, this kind of, like, scary aspect to gaming is so not present nowadays. And I really miss it because this was the type of environment building that I really want to see back in games. It's very rare you see it like this.
Foliage. The roots look like fingers dipping into the water on hard landing. Other times the path will be carved out by the moonlight with dark bushes silhouetting whatever lurks deep within the night.
Man.
The long leaves from the trees droop down onto some of the paths, making it hard to see in front of you. Lack of vision is something you can't afford, especially with the amount of ambushes and booby traps you're gonna have to go through. The tighter areas are ripe for booby traps. That sentence sounds really bad. Anyways, the first trap you see is on Simplify when this soldier runs up to some sort of statue. He is then hung by his feet, exploded into pieces, and then an ambush attacks us. This is the first small jungle area we've been to, and not 5 steps in, we're getting ambushed.
This is like 3 minutes into the campaign as well.
Once again, this is another message to the player saying, hey, even when the music gets quiet and things seem calm, always be on your toes because you never know what's coming real soon. Most of the time, the traps are accompanied by an ambush, like a nice, quick 1-2 punch to catch you off guard. And then after this first trap that we just experienced, there's another ambush not even 20 seconds later. What's ironic about the quote-unquote open jungle sections is that you're still deep within. The playable area just opens up, but there's still a boundary of brush and bushes that will stop you.
But it feels like a maze because it's like you said, you don't know ever where they come at any point. And that's, I think, where this game accelerated so well. It teaches you that right at the beginning, that you are just nothing. Like, literally, you're nothing. And you can be deleted in any moment. You're just lucky that you're alive. And that's what Reznov keeps telling you, you know?
In reality, there are no open jungle sections.
Right.
It's just a wider version of something you've already gone through before. The trenches and bunker sections are always a hectic time to go through. You're getting shot from trees, sideways, behind. There is never a moment of peace.
Yeah.
The trenches are probably the smallest area that you'll fight in throughout this game, and the dimensionality of them just makes them insufferable to get.
Well, and that's the other thing. You don't see COD games having this level of, like, creativity and ingenuity, placing the enemies at the tops of trees. People would just complain about that nowadays, bro.
Get through. There are even some moments where you're gonna find yourself in a dirty place on your hands and knees. Don't make that gay. That's why most of the time you're gonna get a flamethrower, and that makes it easier. Same with the convenient explosive barrels, sandbags for cover, and smoke grenade spam. It's really hard to complain about the level design itself. Just because you notice a pattern or a formula doesn't make it innately bad. The execution of the formula is fantastic, and that's enough for me, especially when you fill it out with such thoughtful, enticing, and scary scenery. But what elevates all of it further is the sound design and music. The range of tracks we get in World at War are fantastic.
Like, listen, I know Sledgehammer did a good job with the orchestra in WW2, but it's like nothing really catches like the visceral horror that Kevin drew, the guitarist, and like he made so many of the soundtracks on this game. It's just different. It's different.
Triumphant military horns to the light percussive drums to the bassy droning tracks. Each front and level has a distinct sound to it. The music impacts the vibes and the overall atmosphere of this game so much that you can literally change how a level feels based on what track is playing. When you're getting ready to storm the beach with the boys and you're in the boat, it's a very cliche military horn score.
Right.
And then things start exploding around you. Something's going awry.
Well, and that's the thing. It's because all these people were led to believe, oh, I'm doing the greatest thing. I'm going to save my country. And then could you imagine how that literally shifts as you're on this ride? And then you get to the beach and you just see people dying in front of you. Like I can't even imagine. This game did it perfectly.
And it changes to this dark, hopeless sound. And in a literal split second, you've changed the entire vibe of this opening sequence. At the end, when you're storming Berlin and you're about to plant the flag, the score is incredible. We're on the brink of winning. We're about to finish what we've started. And the score lets you feel that epicness.
Not one of the best soundtracks of Call of Duty, period, right here, bro. And this moment, iconic, bro. You can't give me a better, more iconic moment in a COD campaign, I feel like, than this, because it's just so grounded in reality, right? And that's why, like, I don't want COD to do WW2 games anymore, because they're just too afraid to go into the visceral nature of what it was actually about. And to me, that just disrespects everyone that went through this and actually experienced this and died. You know what I mean?
Also, when you're storming the Reichstag and you make it to this theater, you hear chanting, and it's very ominous and scary. It really adds to the fear and mysteriousness surrounding the German army. The music can also be quiet and percussive, like when you're walking through the tight jungles and you're hearing the locusts and all the insects going off. It's all very calm, but very unsettling at the same time. The music is all over the place, like I've just described, but in the best way possible. Background noise often includes unsettling screams, gunfire, and explosions, making it feel like war is always happening around you. Japanese soldiers yell before charging, wounded soldiers cry out in pain, and Reznov's intense speeches make everything feel more desperate and important. So what do you get when you combine all the sounds together? A chaotic mess. The literal volume of each of the sound categories can be turned up to your liking, which is great. But by default, they're all cranked up to the max, and you can feel it. Every set piece, kill box, ambush.
Well, it's meant to be loud, man. And that's the thing. Like, people are like, oh, I'll turn this down, I'll turn that. Bro, people lost their hearing during this. You know what I mean?
It's all so damn loud in this game. but it's also so effective at doing its job. If you really want to immerse yourself in this game, the sound does most of the work for you.
Yeah.
However, if you want a more realistic experience, or an experience tailored to what you want, what's so great is that each category of sound has its own slider, so you can turn them up and down however you want.
I think this was the first game that did that as well. I don't remember COD 4, the original, having this. And it just goes to show, like, Treyarch was just on another level back in the day with this.
You ever tried to play World at War with just the sound effects on, or just the music, or just the voices? Which I would not recommend that one. That one's really strange. There's like 5 or 6 voices yelling at you and screaming with different distances at the same time. It's so bizarre. You should try it, but I wouldn't recommend
I'm all right.
for sure.
like
Overall,
that
the
would be
sound
bizarre.
design is extremely effective at doing its job.
Yeah.
So much so that the sensitive ear people out there, you know who I'm talking about, may need to crank that Soldier Boy down a couple notches on the sound sliders. You get the gist. The game is really fucking loud. But none of that matters if it doesn't go along with what we're seeing. The color palette and lighting really give World at War that extra oomph. The color palette of World at War is extremely grim and oppressive.
Listen, and I think this is what needs to be done. It's just like nowadays, I even feel like Vanguard and WW2, just a little bit too much color. You know, a little bit too much color, because it's like, I just think it's something to do with these old styled graphics that makes it so much more visceral, especially nowadays with like all these updated graphics and stuff. It's just like, there's something about it. I don't know. It's not the same.
The game leans heavily into a desaturated, muted look that reinforces its themes of brutality and war-torn devastation. It also came out like 20 years ago, so all of this may be cope. Across the campaign, different...
It ain't cope, bro. I believe it, bro. It's crazy. This game is about to be 20 years old in 3 years. That is absolutely mind-blowing.
Different environments employ unique color schemes, but they all maintain a cohesive, bleak aesthetic. The Pacific is mostly brown, green, and blue, while the Eastern Front is gray.
And like for a 2008 game, the foliage was really impressive, man.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Just gray. No, it has some green here and there, but once you get through Stalingrad and into Berlin, it's all gray with a couple of fields sprinkled in.
This game also makes sense, though, to feel gray. Right? It literally makes sense because you don't want to have so much color. Like, you can imagine, like, this is what people were watching and looking at all the time. Just sadness. When you look at even just the colors gray, you feel sadness all the time. You know?
Obviously, all media
Life
that
without
revolves
color.
around World War II has that war look. I mean, you ever heard of Band of Brothers? Enemy at the
real.
Gates?
Yeah.
This was a time where war content was being churned out like clockwork. This color palette is like the OG version of the Netflix Mexico filter.
The yellow filter, bro, for real.
The colors are washed and pretty ugly to look at, but it has like a gritty charm to it.
You can't argue against it, though, because it's like, it's actually realistic. Whereas, like, the Breaking Bad yellow Mexico filter, it's like, bro, are you like... put on the colored glasses or something.
Cope. What's so crazy is that the most colorful things you're gonna see in this game are gore, explosions, and that one patch of flowers in Blowtorch and Corkscrew. The red stains really stick out in the flat polygons they're sprayed on, and the explosions are so frequent that at some points it looks like a monochromatic firework going off. However, that's when the color palette shines, when bullet tracers are flying around, flamethrowers are cooking, and explosions are going off.
It's art. Like, I still to this day think this is one of the most realistic Call of Duty campaigns. Maybe not the most realistic WW2 game, but still one of the most realistic COD campaigns ever.
For some reason, the more chaos that's happening around you, the more fun of an experience and the more good looking of an experience you're gonna have. But the overall lighting is that very identifiable 2000s style. The lights have this odd white glow to them, and the shadows are harsh but also opaque at the same time. The light from the natural sources is one color, and it never changes regardless of day or night. There are two temperatures a light can be: daylight or tungsten, and there's a whole lot of irrelevant information. So for this instance, I'll give you the spark notes. Basically, daylight is a white, cooler tone, whereas tungsten is a warmer, oranger tone. You'd think that a game like World War II would use a lot of orangier, warmer tones, right? Wrong. No, you're wrong. It's always daylight. The light is white, coming from the sun and the moon. Similar to the color palette, though, The lighting also has a great supporting cast of sources to help it out.
I honestly think that is why Vanguard and WW2 don't look too good, is because they use more of the warm lights, and it's like warm sort of represents like love and harmony and peace, and that's like the complete opposite of what this game is about, you know?
Fire, light posts, smoke grenades, fog, haze, pretty much everything that puts off light or disrupts it helps out the way this game looks. It's like they got all the little details down and then just slapped on a big white light to enhance everything, which it doesn't. It de-hances it.
I think it's more about like, it's all about the sensory positions. Like that's what Call of Duty used to be about, like all about enhancing the senses into making you feel like you're in a battlefield. And it's like, I think that's why a lot of people didn't like the futuristic games, because it's like, it's just not grounded in anything, you know? And whereas these games that you really can feel like you're living in that experience. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely up to personal interpretation, though.
That's a word. The atmosphere and vibes of World at War are all over the place, and the combination of everything together somehow births something intelligible. But what glues all of the aspects into one cohesive piece of art is a great story. And man, does World at War have some incredible history to go off of.
Treyarch's like top 2 stories. To me, top 3, like World at War, BO1, BO2, these are like still the GOATs. Like these are, especially BO1, man. Wow.
The Pacific storyline is all about survival, and instead of being a fully fledged narrative, it sort of hits the main highlights that follow what really happened during the events of World War II. For example, in Simplify, the first mission, there's a 2-year time jump that puts us in a boat en route to Peleliu Island. If I was supposed to care about Private Miller, I'd be asking questions about the gap, like what was he doing? What did he experience? Was there any war crimes that I missed out on?
Coincidentally, also, Peleliu Island is where Noctra and Toten is, right? And it's still there to this day. It's an actual place. Like, that's what I mean. It's this, like, realistic, grounded ideology. And I think that's what Zombies was. It was like an alternate timeline of what could have been with WW2, right? And then we're not there at this point.
But we're not. We're not asking any of those questions. This game isn't focused on your in-game character or the development of that character. Its focus is on the soldiers around you and you. Yeah, you and me. Me too. You and me. Miller and...
I miss that. I miss that in COD. Because, like, in a lot of campaigns, like, you're the superstar. Like, oh, you got all this future tech. And it's like, dog, like, bring us back to where, like, your character means nothing. Like, you can be replaced in an instant, man. That's really what war is based off of, is countless lost lives.
Petrenko are just meat puppets meant to serve as our liaison between the virtual and physical realms. The silent protagonist works well, especially in a setting with so much spectacle, and the cast of characters that surround you are so good that you won't even really notice how mute you are. After storming and taking over the beach and maybe finding yourself a ray gun, we head straight into the trenches. The Pacific is a series of advancing through airfields.
Like, it's so funny because Blundell just did an interview recently, and he was like, we never expect the zombies to do well. But then it's like, why'd you have the ray gun in the World at War campaign? Why'd you have the thunder gun in the BO1 campaign? It's like they knew, man. They knew it would catch. I don't want to hear it, bro.
Trenches and jungles, all to destroy weapons, help tanks advance, and then eventually take over Shuri Castle in Okinawa, Japan. What's really cool is that you get to take control of another silent character in the form of Petty Officer Locke for some air raids and rescue missions.
And dude, that air raid mission is, like, I know a lot of people clown on it, but it just... Treyarch nailed this game every single time, bro. Like, the sounds, the emotions, the way you're coming in and out of the cockpit. It's like, frick, man. You're really in this, you know?
You get to be the gunner in what's called an amphibious aircraft known as the PBY Catalina. Thank you, Wikipedia. By May of 1945, our sights are set on Okinawa, Japan. Blowtorch and Corkscrew it's gotta be a top 3 mission in the game. Going bunker to bunker with the Flamethrower, fighting through open fields at night is just a treat. Once everything is cleared out, we can let our tanks progress for one final push on Shuri Castle, which is a real place with a real raid that actually happened.
Well, that's what every single mission is, that, you know? It is all real and based into history. It's like, that's what I mean. Could you imagine, like, being in WW2 and then playing this game and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is like straight up PTSD. Like, that's what Treyarch did, bro.
Basically, the Japanese were using it as some sort of headquarters, and towards the end of the Okinawa campaign, we just bombed the shit out of it for 3 days straight until it caught on fire, was low-key destroyed, and then we captured it. So, go blue. However, in World at War, it presents us with our final chance to save a life. A few Japanese soldiers surrender to us, but little do we know they've got grenades cooking.
Dude, even look at Roebuck. Like, bro's got like a freaking Japanese sword or something there. It's like a Bowie knife. Like, it's just, dude, the attention to detail.
War crime alert. That is a total war crime alert. So who will you save? Roebuck or Polanski?
Yeah.
And if you don't choose Roebuck, I don't trust you. Granted, if it's your first time playing, you're not even gonna realize that this is an actual mechanic and you're just gonna shoot something. So the first time, it'll probably just be whoever you're closest to. But after that, second attempt from there on, it's Roebuck. In a 7-game series,
Save my
Roebuck
boy
and
Roebuck.
over Polanski. It's not even, there's no competition here. In all seriousness, the game does a really crappy job at making it well known that choices.
Listen, they only say Polanski because he's Dempsey. That's it, bro. That's what I mean, bro. It's the zombie fans, man.
Like this, gameplay-wise, are a mechanic.
Yeah.
You get to pick what path you go down a couple times, and that's a pseudo choice, but not really. There's nothing that you can choose like this that has this big of an impact on the game.
Yeah.
Getting to choose the fate of one of the main characters on a whim is crazy.
Yeah.
Take it for what you will.
Well, and it's like COD experienced this later on, but like Treyarch never got their chance of doing this in another WW2 campaign. Like, the only WW2 game I think I could ever accept past 2025 now is if it was made by Treyarch, because they would make it visceral. But I don't think Activision will ever give them that clearance to, which is so upsetting, because that would be the only game I could think that would actually be a strong competition to this game, because then it would be World at War with much more decision making, like how World at War started its campaign, you know? Oh my gosh, it'd be peak.
In my opinion, it's
Just
kind of
peak.
cheap, and it's just a shock value thing to wrap up the campaign, the American campaign.
True.
It's pretty effective in doing its job, but like I said, it just feels a little bit cheap. After you take the castle, regardless of who lives or who dies, Roebuck gives this final quote.
Everything that was asked of us, we've done. Every night we lay in a filthy foxhole praying the enemy won't slit our throats. Every day was spent crawling through the mud and the dirt while bullets whistle all around. This is the enemy's last stand. When we take Shuri Castle, we go home. All of us.
Dude, even just like the weight of the voices, man. They nailed it on this voice acting, man. Sheesh.
This may be the end of our story here. There may be a soldier out there who is just beginning his. Taking Shuri Castle and watching someone die that we've gone through hell with is upsetting, and Roebuck lets you know that from his tone of voice. The ending isn't happy. It's more of like a sigh of relief or reflection. Was the cost of...
Well, I mean, that's literally what it was. Like, people suffered PTSD after these events for the rest of their lives. Listen, my grandfather was in WW2, and like that completely changed the way his outlook on life was. Like, he used to make bullets for the Germans, and it's like, from what my mom tells me, having lived with him, it's like he became a really violent person, and it's like it changed these people forever, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, we won, we did it. No, it was like, freaking thank goodness that's over. Like, I'm just going to have to live with this pain and suffering for the rest of my life. Thanks, man. Thanks to the powers that be, bro.
Taking Shuri Castle, or storming the beaches, or running through trenches worth all the lives it cost? Well, that's the question. And that's the one question that never really has an answer. Capturing Shuri Castle was a huge milestone in World War II, and it marks our conclusion in the Pacific Theater in World at War. As for the Eastern Front, this is a campaign about passion, hatred, and revenge.
Yeah, and Reznov is that personified. It is such a shame that he has not come back. If Treyarch ever does another WW2 game, this man better come back. Like, he came back in BO1, But we needed more, bro. We needed more of it.
Reznov carries this game on his back.
For
he
real.
eats the rations and leaves no crumbs for the POWs.
Yeah.
My God, is he good. I mean, you cast a powerhouse actor like Gary Oldman and just let him cook. And they did. They just let him cook. Also, just real quick, shout out to Kiefer Sutherland for his voice acting for Roebuck. It's also...
I didn't even know. And this guy came back in BO4 Dead of the Night. Sheesh. It's really sad that, like, his performance here didn't really translate later on, you know? Because, like, the script was probably weird.
Very good. He is just outshined, obviously. But they both do an incredible job. After you wake up in the death fountain, Reznov doesn't save you. He uses you. He tells you about his plot and all of his sneaky business and makes you the trigger man because of his wounded hand. Complete manipulation. He's got a vendetta against the German general Heinrich Amsel, who was responsible for our little fountain predicament, along with tons and tons of war crimes across all of the motherland.
And I love that, like, this became almost the catalyst to the zombie storyline. This whole section of the World at War campaign.
I did some digging to see if I could figure out if this was like a real guy or if he was based on a real guy, but I couldn't. There's no counterpart to.
I like, cause this is the thing. I just did a TF2 video, right? And this character's whole model is based off of the Doctor in Team Fortress 2, right? And so it's like, someone on Treyarch just hated that character, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
To Heinrich Amsel. However, what I did find is that he shares the same character model with Edward Richtofen.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah, well, and every single one of the World at War characters in the zombie storyline stem from this. I think that's why people just adopted to zombies so frequently, because after this campaign ends, you get the intro sequence to Noctra and Toten, and then, like, these guys came out later on in the zombie maps, and people were like, oh my gosh, is the story continuing, right? They cooked, and they don't even understand how much they did, man. It's insane.
Weird. I don't know why. Eventually, we track him down, lead our troops to slaughter for a distraction, and then snipe his ass before he gets deleted.
Bro, he does whoop with his legs.
After the tank shell and a bit of sprinting, we jump into a river. And this river is a real one. Yes, rivers are real. No
way. It's probably dirty, though.
What I mean is that this is called the Volga, and it's actually, I guess, the longest river in Europe.
I didn't know
the
that.
more you know. 3 years later, we begin once again as a captured prisoner where Reznov and the gang come and save us. How does Petrenko keep getting himself into these horrific instances? Like, there's got to be a limit, right?
Dude, also, like, the final mission, like, can we just admire the art that Treyarch did? Like, dude, listen, I really loved Europe for its art when I went there. And it's like, you come back to North America and you're like, wow, is that so devoid here? And it just goes to show, like, European art, like, what we did hundreds and thousands of years ago was just better than we got today. Like, let's just be real here. Modern art, throw it in the garbage, man.
Anyways, we continue to push through farmland until we find ourselves at an enemy camp that we destroy and take over. Reznov gives us a wonderful speech that rallies all the troops, and then we get some tank action. This is our final push to rid the Reich out of the motherland and take the combat to their country. Once we get on their soil, we push through until we find a German U-Bahn station, but instead of taking this one over and destroying it, they destroy it for us, because instead of us getting all their knowledge and information and secret formulas or whatever shit they got going on down there, they would rather destroy everything, including us. So they flood the entire sewer system.
Dude, what a moment, dude. And it's like, that's what World of War just excels at. It's just like, oh my gosh, these moments of like, oh, like, it transcends a video game. It's really, like he says, it's an experience, because it's like you're actually there. The first person POV just does wonders with that regard.
Now, for like the millionth time, Reznov drags you out of the sewer and saves your life once again. And then gets really mad at Chernov. We regroup with the rest of the Allied soldiers and start our final wave against the Reichstag. Reichstag. See, I don't want to say it like Reichstag. Reichstag. Am I supposed to pronounce it correctly, like an asshole? Or?
Listen, it's so funny because this is the eternal debate of Watch Mojo. You could just say Verruchtenhagen, or you could just say Verrucht. The choice is yours.
Or do I just pronounce it the American way? I don't know.
America.
The Reichstag today is a historic building. Like, it's a real place that you can go and visit. But back in the old day, during World War II, for about a decade, it was essentially the Nazi White House.
Yeah.
Anyways, we get
Love
to the
that.
stairwell,
Love
and
that.
we're about to get ourselves inside, and then Chernov gets turned into Burnov. That
Hurt my boy Nikolai. And it's so funny because it's like, this is literally his, like, sort of foreshadowing to how he even, like, gets up in Garand Grove and BO3. Like, Blundell knew what he was doing, man. He knew.
That was terrible. He
Yeah.
gets burned up pretty bad.
Yeah.
We kind of say our quick goodbyes, and we keep pushing on.
Gotta
There is
hit
a
him with one of
mission
these.
here, and Chernov's
Jesus got it back, bro.
death, which we're going to talk about in a second, is irrelevant. We finally make our way onto the roof. The scores blast, and artillery is barraging. I don't even know if that's a word. The artillery is going crazy, and we are making our final way to plant that damn flag and cut down the German one.
Such an iconic moment, bro. And this is cinema. Cinema. The sounds. To me, this was my MW2 finale, bro. This was better. It's just so visceral. And he picks you up,
You can
bro.
make it, my friend.
Oh.
You always survive.
Cinema. Watcha! Like, it's such a meaningless thing. You know, like, oh, we replaced the flag, whatever. But it's like, with how much you went through to get to this point, it makes it so much more meaningful. It completely, it's peak. It's just peak.
The honor should be yours.
Treyarch killed this, bro. Whoa!
As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken.
Things will change, my friend. As heroes, we will return to Russia's embrace.
Peak. I just gotta say it. Let's just pause it and just embrace that moment. Peak, bro. COD campaigns don't end that good nowadays. Like, wow. That is like... And that's what COD used to be about. Those, like, cinematic movie moments. Those experiences. Peak.
Reznov saves us again.
Peak.
The Eastern Front has been conquered, and now, maybe, the motherland and her people can rest. When you look under the hood of World at War, you'll notice a lot of similarities between the two fronts on a game development side. Both sides have a main officer you follow, Roebuck and Reznov, and they also have their little sidekick, Chernov and Polonsky.
Nikolai and Dempsey.
And these four dudes represent the devil and the angel on your shoulder all throughout the game.
Right.
And the survival of all four come into play at the very end of the game. You have a random chance to save Roebuck or Polonsky depending on your playthrough, and Chernov gets burned up and left to die on the stairwell. Which I looked at him at the end and he's alive. Like, he's literally rolling on the ground. Like, look at him. He's
I mean, also it shows because your crosshairs turn green. Right? Like, that literally always means, like, he's alive. And it's just, like, it's that much more important to place the flag than even my boy Nikolai's life. Cinema.
Right here. You can't tell me he's not alive. He's literally moving. I think in the canon he is dead, but I'm just saying what I saw, guys.
Well, it's because it's just, like, at the end of this, it's like he's just sort of bleeds out by the time you place the flag, right?
And as previously stated, the level design itself is pretty samey all throughout. Both campaigns are about momentum, and there is no Empire Strikes Back moment.
Nope.
Let me explain that. In most trilogies, the second movie sees our hero fall, stumble, maybe a main character bites the dust. All seems lost until the third installment where the good guys rally and they win or save the day or whatever. Literally, like, every trilogy does this. Go look at any of your favorites.
Yeah.
But the most famous is probably Empire Strikes Back.
This was, like, the one that characterized that, I think, yeah.
World at War starts you at rock bottom rather than you getting there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is fine. crawling from the lowest point of your life into a W is great, but missing out on seeing how a loss or a momentum shift would have affected our characters was kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion. You're pretty much winning the entire time, and while yes, you are seeing all the evils and terrible things go on, there's never that moment where you're on your heels and you're like, damn boys, like we gotta lock in right now. I think that is my main problem with the story, is that...
Well, and also, can I just say, before we even continue this game also has co-op. It was one of the only Call of Duty campaigns ever where you could have co-op in this as well that they were able to program, which is mind-blowing because you could feel that exhilaration with your boys. It is actually a disgrace that in the Z House back in the day that we never did a full-on run-through of the World at War campaign altogether. Like, man, would it have just been so peak, dude. It just... This game was still ahead of its time. 20 years later, we're still talking about how incredible it is. And it's like, this is top 5 campaigns easy. For me, top 2. Top 2 or 3, you know?
That there's just no momentum shift.
Yeah.
Other than that, peak.
Yeah, literally.
Not
peak.
the book. Fuck that book. What makes something so scary?
Dang, all right.
After all, it's all subjective, right? Wrong. No, I'm just kidding. When we think of traditional horror, it's monsters, jump scares, fear of the unknown, fear of cold, fear of freezing, Jacob Geller videos. However, real horror is much different. War is horrific. War is real. And war is pretty much always going on at this point.
I think the scariest issue is like how it is so real. It's a game, but it's like it transcends that because of its immersive reality. It like this game is just I can't love World of War enough, man. It's just too good.
Obviously, I've never been to war, nor did I experience World War II. And the ultimate conclusion, if my opinion means anything to anybody besides myself, is this. Unlike many World War II shooters that focus on heroism, World at War leans into the sheer brutality and suffering of...
Which I would say is much more realistic. Like, it was not a heroic experience for most of these people. Like, women lost their husbands, like, men were dying left, right, and center, friends were dying. No one really came back, was like, yeah, we did it, dude, we did it, we conquered. It's like, no, it was just harrowing, depression, loss, suffering, and death.
War. The campaign isn't just about winning, it's about surviving in a nightmarish landscape where the morality is blurred.
Yeah.
There are no traditional good guys. Both the US and the Soviet campaigns show their forces committing brutal acts in response to enemy aggression. Yeah. World at War is a package complete with everything you want in a World War II game. Yeah. It nails the horror through its violence, atmosphere, and story. Yeah. For me, horror is at its peak when it's accompanied by something real.
And that is exactly just the statement right there that nails it. And I think that is what makes the zombies mode in this game so much more impactful too, because it goes off of the pretenses of the campaign and makes you think, what if this was an alternate timeline where like the Germans were able to make some sort of future tech? And it's like, that's what expanded all the Easter eggs, and so many people were on board up until I'd say about BO1 when we blew up the Earth. And then after that, Jimmy Zielinski wanted to do like different timelines because that was kind of where they wanted to take this game. And it's never really been the same since, because now Blundell added all the Apothkins and all this like extra lore that made it like into like this adventure fantasy series, and it never really grounded its basis ever again back into what this game used to have. And for a lot of people, that's why Zombies has fallen off. For me, I like the more fantastical elements, but honestly, it never will ever have the same realistic grip as what World at War started. And that is why, to me, this is still like top 3 best CODs, for sure. Always will be.
Or something that tricks me into thinking it's real. World at War was my first Call of Duty campaign, and I hold it very close to my heart. And so a lot of this is going to be nostalgia, obviously.
For sure. And it's like, listen, now COD is more about the Warzone narrative, right? Like everything is sort of grounded into this narrative, and now people are getting bored of that. And so we're needing this next change in narrative, because Warzone, in my opinion, has been the longest standing narrative in all of Call of Duty from all the other ones we've seen previously. And so I really hope we come back to something like this. Something that grips it back into reality, that gets people thinking, that gets people questioning these events, because this is kind of what current reality is. People are even guessing that this type of stuff that didn't even happen now. It's been so long, you know? So,
but I do think
we need it. We need it back.
50th replay, whatever it was recently, this game still holds up.
Oh, yeah.
It's still scary.
And it's great with friends.
And it's still a super fun time to play. If you've never touched it, go touch it. And then put it in your console or Steam or whatever.
And put it in your top 5 games of all time.
But give it a chance. Just because it's almost 20 years old now doesn't mean it's bad.
Exactly.
You know who you are if you...
Listen, bro, this... Don't even get me started, bro. And these people like freaking Vanguard and MW2, Get them out of here. Get them out of here.
Think that way.
Yeah.
World at War is pretty much peak. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
And it's scary too. It's still scary.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Let's
Have a wonderful day.
W Zaldi. And this is the other thing. It ends with this, man. Like, ooh. World at War, man. Absolutely peak. Shout out Zaldi, and I'll see y'all in that next one.